Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Jade, and this is The Odd Couple Rant. And today, my very special guest for The Odd Couple Rant is Pete Johns. We're going to be talking about breaking barriers to make your best music. So many scenarios. It's all just a work in progress. According to Wolfstone Studio and Pete Johns, let's urge.
Because we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Yes, we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out.
Nobody's knowing all they can. Not everything will go to plan. You might be set up, or you might get fed up. Maybe just need a helping hand.
Because we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Yes, we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. We all have doubt and things to know and learn about. That we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out.
When everything just seems so hard, you need to strive and you'll go far. It's hard to grow up, but if you show up, you'll shine and they'll see what you are.
Because we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Yes, we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. What we know, we all have time, the room to grow. Because we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out.
The shame and pain you feel inside, perfectionist is why you hide.
Trust in yourself and you will see you're not alone. Because we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Yes, we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. With what we know, we all have time and room to grow. Yes, we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. 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 Nobody's got it figured out.
Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, nobody's got it figured out. Pete Johns, original song by Pete and remade by Wolfstone Studio. Two amazing artists combined together. I get to sing along there and have a good time. And we are just a work in progress. We're going to be talking about that today. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Shall we just get him on here? Should we do it? I know I'm excited. Let's get him on. It's Pete Johns and boom.
Let's get it on.
Yeah, man. It's Friday, Pete.
And we're the odd couple.
You know what? We're not. I don't think we're that odd. I think when I started this, remember I started this show for me and Mike Enjo to do this, and he's unfortunately he's not always available to do it because we're more odd, me and him. He's more odd than me.
There's very few people more odd than Mike, but yeah, it's we're odd in that we're different from normal people. Should we not use that word? Like, let's. I'm going to just say right now, let's strike normal from the record because normal's boring and it's also irrelevant because what is normal? Whatever has been normal? I don't know.
Exactly. Now,
Hello, everyone. Hello, Jade.
Hello.
How you going?
now I think your volume, can you bring your volume up a tiny bit?
Sure can.
Just a tiny bit, smidge.
I'll smidgen you up a little bit. Howls my
Oh,
dulcet tones
sexy
now.
now. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I will say, well, let's do hellos. I normally don't do on the interviews, but we'll get them out of the way. Let's not out the way. Hello, Trevor Bear and Jenny Jolivet and Kim Martin Hudson's back again. Oh God, we must be leaving out the right breadcrumbs. Denise is in the house. Jamie Lynn, the Lily Pillies. Hello, Manny. We've got also Thomas Christ, of course, Thomas Christ, the legend, a legend himself. I saw who else? Oh, there's Pete John's in the chat. Moby Pixel. Hello, Moby Pixel. If I've missed you, I'm scrolling up and I think I've got most of you. Tremor Bear, yes. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about barriers. Now, we kind of talk about this a lot, but this is in a kind of sort of different way because there are lots of different barriers that we come against and lots of them intertwine
Yes.
with each other. So I thought it'd be a good idea to just run through them because lately, actually, yesterday, I beat one of my barriers, and that was I haven't written a song in ages.
Yeah, if only I didn't know what that was like. If only I wasn't writing all the songs right now.
I know, good times. And we'll close with it today. I'll give you a sneak preview. So let's talk about, I've got some little barriers broken up. Oh, first, I should let people know where you're from. Where's this guy from? Who are you? What's your thing? Where are you from? Did I just drag you in off the street? What's happening?
A little bit, yeah. No, elevator pitch, Pete Johns, studio live today, and this is my topic because I'm all about removing the barriers. I think that everyone should create, record, and release their best music. And for the last nearly decade now, if you can believe it, I've been dedicated to making sure that those barriers are removed, that people that have been told by strangers on the internet that they're not allowed, that they shouldn't, that they're not good enough to create music, you just say bullshit and you do it anyway. And that's what I'm all about. So studiolivetoday.com, come and join us. It's I'm like it's a cult, but I'm the world's worst cult leader because I'm like, what do you guys think? Well, what should we do? I've got zero authority, but I've got all the love.
It is a cult. I've met Pete in person, and he's got the equivalent of Kool-Aid. It's called beer. It's delicious.
It's iced coffee during the day and beer after about 5 p.m. and then you're golden.
Well, I'm always stoked you come on here because, we're mates and, you helped me get this thing off the ground and you've already had your first swear before me. So good job.
I noticed I didn't do it in the first 2 minutes. YouTube would punish you severely.
I don't know. There's been a few times, Pete, when I do that intro music and I do the whole good afternoon, evening, and I've done a big swear and gone, oh, no. Never got any pain for it.
I think our accents save us. The way we like it just sounds, is that a seagull sound or did they actually swear? I think it's a seagull.
I think they know that fuck is like, for us, hello.
They're like, they're Australians. If it ain't the C-bomb, just don't worry about it. It's nothing.
Totally. So I've broken all this up into sections. And of course, we're going to start with the first one, which is personal barriers. Personal barriers, the stuff that goes on in your head, mental stuff. So we'll start there, I guess. Anxiety, depression, ADHD, neurodivergence, all this kind of stuff. Hell, just waking up in the morning some days and going, you know what? My hair looks shit. It's enough to send you over the edge and not make music. It really is. Mental health. Why is this such a struggle for us all at the moment, Pete?
Oh, at the moment, always has been, forever. Yeah, there's a couple of problems at work here. Obviously, the world's a little bit on fire at the moment. But you know what? I also like to look at the fact that we have what's called recency bias. So yes, things seem bad right now, and they are. But we've also been through, World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, the Middle East War of the 90s, 9/11. So it's not like other decades don't have their precedents for this stuff. It just feels pretty raw because, we came off the back of a global pandemic into whatever the frick you call this that we're going through now?
Wow.
So that's tough. But for us creative types as well, and I don't mean to sort of bundle us and label us and pigeonhole us, but because of our creative nature, it's kind of been proven that more often than not, we're a little more sensitive, perhaps. We're a little bit more introverted at times, not always, but sometimes. And we're a little bit, we find it harder weirdly enough, we find it harder to share what we're doing. So the classic thing, and my personal barriers and struggles early on, was that I didn't want anyone to see me creating music or hear the music I was creating. I've always been this sort of person that if I'm writing something and someone's looking over my shoulder, I'll immediately turn it away or close the laptop lid, or I don't want people, because, and again, it's not that people have judged me, it's that fear of being judged. It's that fear that people are going to judge me based on the quality of what I'm producing. And because the other thing that creative types often have is ridiculously high perfectionistic standards, we also don't want anyone to think we're anything but perfect. So the easiest way to make sure that no one knows that we're not perfect all the time is to not share stuff. And that's, I think, the biggest initial barrier that people need to get past. And I definitely did. I've told this story before, but when I started recording, you think, oh, he does it now live on the internet in front of people and shows absolutely everything. I was hiding in my walk-in closet at 5 o'clock in the morning before everyone was up, because that was the only safe and happy space that I could actually create without that fear of judgment. And again, this isn't about the people around me. My family wouldn't have judged me in the slightest, but the perception of judgment is often enough to make us feel that way. And it doesn't have to be the reality. It can often just be our perception, and our perception then becomes reality. How about you, Jade? I can't imagine there was a time where you were not comfortable and confident sharing, but I don't know, I've got a feeling you may have been through some struggles too.
You know, that's a misconception. That's I think something in here, because there's so many big artists, and I'm not a big artist, I'm not putting myself in there, but so many big artists who struggle day to day. Lady Gaga is a big example of that, you know. She looks like, you know, she's got a costume made of meat, for God's sake. That looks like a person that is not going to be afraid. But absolutely so internalized stuff that goes on with her. And she really had to stand back and say, I'm not touring. I can't do it. My brain just can't deal with it. Yeah. And I don't think, you know, this isn't a thing that affects you based on your talent or your outgoingness or your ability to be able to speak publicly. It hits at any time. Like you said, it's some mornings, it just be, my toothbrush broke. That's enough. I'm done. I'm not making any music. It can be that bad. I don't know.
I think that Barrett, like, you're right, that's that. And this is where a lot of people sort of capitulate that into, well, then I will never create again.
Yeah.
Like, you've seen it and I've seen it, the amount of people that we've seen in the community. And thankfully, a lot of them come back because they realize that it's an absolute knee-jerk reaction and they shouldn't do this. But the reaction to, I got up on the wrong side of the bed, I'm feeling grumpy today, I won't make music today, I'm going to go play a violent video game or go for a walk in the park and touch the grass. It shouldn't be, therefore, I am crap and I'm never going to make music ever again, because this feeling is going to be it forever. We know this feeling won't be it forever. Like anyone that's been through things, you know, we've talked about the wave. It's the wave. You go through this sort of stuff. Some people's waves, some people have tidal waves and then they have tsunamis. Other people just have gentle paddling pool waves. But yeah, we all have ups and downs. And if you think that the down is the new normal and that's what you're going to be forever, then yeah, you can talk yourself into that, and you can make that your mindset and your perception. And I'm not saying you can think your way out of bad situations all the time, but it certainly doesn't help to dwell on them and to repeat them and to go, oh, I must be crap then. That doesn't help anyone. Like, a positive mindset is not always possible. It's not always hard. Don't do the whole, I'm just going to grin and bear it, because then you're repressing emotion, you're repressing feeling. Feel bad, have the tantrum, cry a lot, and then you'll feel better again. I promise you. No one has ever, unless you are, you know, things are over for you completely, you bounce back. You hit bottom and then you bounce back up. And sometimes it just feels like you're just going to spiral down forever, but you don't. You come back, and that's where music and community, that's why the two most important things, I think, for us and for the community we have in the channel is, music and community, because they kind of go hand in hand, and they help, and we will help each other when we hit those barriers.
Yeah, look, I think I've been very candid on my channel about my inability to write music at the moment. which is weird because I have like 4 albums pretty much finished from 4 different bands, and I got another band I'm playing in, but I just couldn't get it done. I'm lucky enough to have great friends from this community, Brad, Russ, all that, who I hang out with every day, who I've been able to be open with and say, you know what, I'm having a shit relationship with music at the moment. It sucks. I'm not able to do it. And you know what? That's okay. Relationships are up and down. Sometimes you just don't want to be around that person. And for me, it was like, I'm just not up for making music. I spend so much time doing this that I'm burnt out. But I started to try and find ways to get around that. And what it was for me, funnily enough, was finding this microphone this week. It's a NT1 in a box up there, unpacked. And I'm like, why is that microphone up there? So I busted it out, and it got me singing all week, Pete. It's the smallest thing sometimes that can trigger you off and get you back on the bike. A few people have joined us. Bridget, welcome to the channel. Hello to you. Wolfstone Studio, Miss Stephanie, Brad Example. If I've missed anyone else, Fat Panda Cat, g'day to you. Welcome, welcome. And, my name is Roy. I didn't get the whole name. Roy Perez. Hello, my name is Roy Perez. Confidence. Confidence is all tied into this as well, Pete. You know, the funny thing is, for me, I've always had the belief, as a singing teacher for a long time, I get a lot of people who I used to teach singing, and they'd say, I'd be like, you're sounding really good. I think your voice is really good. And they're like, well, now the next problem is, how do I get up on stage and do this? It's like, well, that's a whole nother story, isn't it? Because, and I remember a couple of clients I had, one of them in particular said that every time they got up to go on stage to sing, they got this cramping pain in their stomach and it buckled them over. And I was like, oh my God, I can fully identify with you. When I was a kid, my dad used to try and force me to play football, and I hated it. Like, I was good at it, but I didn't want to do it, right? And every game that I played, I get these buckling pains in the stomach, and they take me to hospital, and they couldn't work out what it was. It was like, it's nerves. It's just confidence. It's the fear of letting everybody down. And that's involved, I think, in music. You're making a song, and it's like, I'm making it for me, because you should be making it for you. But there's that voice in the back going, will everyone like it?
Yeah, and it's tough, and it's harder now than it's ever been before, because a lot of people, I think, mistakenly judge their success based on how many people listen to their music, or how many people watch their video, or how many likes they get. And I think, it's a symptom of the modern society that is social media and that is YouTube and TikTok and all the rest of it. But I think we've lost what I say to a lot of people when they're struggling with this and struggling with confidence. They're just like, I just released a song and I posted on Facebook, and 24 hours later, only one person had hit like. And I'm like, one person liked your song? That's cool. That's rad.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, but I want more people to listen to it. And I'm like, why? And they're like, because that would be good. And I'm like, why? You got to ask the 5 whys. If you've ever done like analysis of stuff, you ask the 5 whys, and you eventually get to the point that they're like, because I never really thought about why I do music in the first place, and I never really set what my measures of success are going to be. And this is why I say, for me, do I feel bad when I put a video out there, I put my heart and soul into it, and it gets way less people viewing it than, well, yes, because it's my job and I have to try and get people to watch my videos. But at the same time, if you measure things based on the uncontrollable events of what other people will do, you're going to be pretty sad a lot of the time. I think your confidence comes in making sure that your goals are set around what you can control and what you can do. I know it sounds easy, and it's like, oh yeah, I heard that in primary school, Pete, but it's so true. Like, I make sure that I put a video out every day, 7 videos a week. They're not all going to do great. They're not all going to do crap. Some of them will resonate with people and some won't. And again, I always say the Wayne Gretzky thing, if you miss 100% of the shots, you don't take. So I think confidence comes from just repeating, and it's why create, record, release repeats kind of the unsaid 4th word of that, because once you've released something, you've got your feedback if you have, and if you haven't, oh well, you still do it again, you still have another crack at it. And I just think a lot of the time that people are gaining their confidence from the approval of others, and I don't know if it was a childhood thing that some folks have that didn't get hugged enough. That sounds horrible, I know, but like the whole getting attention and look, we see it. We see it in the YouTube world. People don't get enough clicks and likes,
Yeah.
so they're not getting enough attention. So what do? They flip the script. They go negative. And we see it in social media as well, that we've all been on those groups where it's the person that's like, no one listens to my music, therefore I'm leaving Facebook forever. This group
Bye.
is terrible. You all suck. And they get a whole bunch of people engaging with that post saying, oh, don't worry, it's fine. Don't do that. I'll go listen to your music. Pity listens. Yeah, let's go with pity listens. And then they're like, oh, okay, I guess I'll stay now. And yeah, it's the whole, if you can't get attention with the positive stuff, then flip it around and become who's the old grey man who complains about music. You become that guy. And then more people watch, Rick Beato. You become Rick Beato and just complain and say, all music after 1978 is terrible. And you shake your fist at the clouds. But where were we? Confidence, yeah. So I think we all struggle with that. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have those feelings. Like saying don't feel that way is the stupidest statement anyone can say, because often you can't control your feelings. What you can control is your actions and how you respond to those feelings. And sometimes you can't even control them. Sometimes you go off on a tangent and do something that you shouldn't. And if you've got a caring community and people around you that care about you, they'll call you on it. And then you'll feel bad and you'll apologize and you'll go, shit, you're right. That was an over exaggeration of the situation. And then you're cool again. So again, that's why community is so very, very important.
You know, you come across artists and stuff with your friends and you kind of have jokes about certain artists and go, oh, man, they're so crap. Why do people like them so much? And it's like, there's a lot to that. Like, why is that? Is it their confidence, even if they really are crap? Maybe there's a lesson there for you instead of sitting there going, they're crap, I don't like it. It's, red light fever. This is a thing that constantly pops up. I've never had a problem with red light fever because I just am colorblind. So, no, I don't look at the lights. No, but I don't know. It's funny. The more you do it, of course, red light fever is going to become a distant past if you just don't acknowledge it. Look, that's what worked for me. I think working in studios for a long time, you just, yeah. But when you are by yourself, I do admit that for me, it is more daunting because you are in control of everything. You've got more responsibility, and that's what takes away from the creative process. I mean, that's what we're all looking for, I think, when creating, having the tools in front of us where it's transparent and you can just make music. But no, we've got to do all the buttons and
and it does. It comes from, and a lot of people, older folks like us, remember that when that red light came on, it meant money too. Like, it used to mean cost. It wasn't just time; it was physical, actual money. Whereas now, it is really just time. And you know what I like to say about this, Jade? I'm a broken record because I believe in it. But you got unlimited retries. It's like they've turned the Space Invaders machine onto free play, and you can just keep going and keep doing it. So if you have a day where you do 17 takes and they're all crap, oh well, come back tomorrow, try again. So yeah, once you realise that the red light fever doesn't really matter, and the live equivalent of red light fever, which would be like stage fright fever. So yeah, there you go. I just made that up. But stage fright fever and red light fever, it's the same sort of thing. But remember, it's not the last performance you're ever going to do.
No.
And people don't have long memories. You're not going to do an open mic night at the pub in front of 12 people, and then a month later you go to another pub. And they're like, it's that bloke again. It's that bloke that hit the wrong chord. Remember, it was a G chord and he hit a D chord. The freaking idiot.
Burn, get him, pitchforks.
So yeah, it is. We over amplify the importance. And look, it's a good thing. It's a self-preservation thing too. But we over amplify the importance. And you've talked about main character syndrome before, and it's very much about that. We think that every person we meet and everything we do is having a direct impact on everyone, and really, the sad truth is the exact opposite. That very few people are paying attention to many of us much of the time, which is lovely because you can use that to say, well, I can pretty much get away with anything, and people will generally either forget or not care. And the very few people who do care, the 1% of people that do call you out on that, guess what? They're not the people that you need to hang out with or that you need to care about the feedback and the opinions of. So strangers on the internet are the worst source of information and guidance that you can possibly go to, because they're usually again, they're usually in that subset of people that weren't hugged enough, that wanted all the attention, and the only way that they got attention was by, vandalizing things and setting fire to things and like shooting small birds. I don't know. I'm getting a bit dark on this, aren't I?
Okay.
You all know those people that are click farmers and comment farmers, where they just put things out in the world to exacerbate situations, to make things worse, to get people reacting. It's the old bully thing. If you don't react, they go away. Well, they don't. They just move on to someone else. So don't be the someone. Just let them shout into a void. I know you and I both use this tactic. If someone makes a horrible comment on a YouTube, the best thing to do is I'll reply to them with a snide comment, and then I'll delete it and block them and hide them from the channel. So they get the notification. They see exactly what I said back to them. Nobody else in the world does and ever will, because they're no longer part of the channel. And look, that's the extreme level. If you just say to me, Pete, your vocal was you're a bit pitchy, dog, I'm not going to be like, right, you suck, block, hide. But you can guess, and you can imagine some of the things that could be said to either Jade or myself of physical characteristics and our appearances and what we choose to do. It's not always everyone's cup of tea, and some people are just like, you do you, boo, and some people are like, I'm a horrible F-wit, and here's what I'm going to do about it.
Those comments are so fun. My name is Roy Perez. Says, when I was younger, and this is, I had other musicians always compare riffs to other bands. That riff sounds like this. Oh, and you're copying this person. And it got really annoying and sometimes discouraging. Oh, man. I can't tell you how many times in old bands when I was young, and that same thing happened. We'd be in the studio putting together riffs and putting together a song, and be like, okay, this is great. And then one of them would go, it sounds like Pearl Jam. All right, bin it.
Yeah.
Dude, every chord has been used. Every scale has been used. You are going to have things that repeat. Settle down. And I can't even fathom how many great songs we probably lost through that stupid comparison of other bands. Really dumb.
Yeah, I was that as well. I didn't like that, and I took that personally when I played a song and someone said, oh, it sounds just like that. And I used to say, oh man, now I've got to change it, I've got to do something different. And now I'm like, rad, I love that band. That's exactly what I was going for. And I think that's really the only response to that, because, I don't know, again, I'm like cliche machine today, but there are 12 notes in the Western scale, people. Everything between C and then the next C, and there's only 12 steps. So you can't do much more with that hasn't already been done. And music's been produced, especially like rock music and pop music has been produced. We're coming up to like 70, 80 years worth of this stuff, people. Not to mention all the classical music that was created and the jazz music that was created before that used even more chords and even cooler progressions than what we're doing now. So yeah, if your music sounds like another band and you like that band, that's great.
Have fun.
Just go with it.
Yeah. Hello to some people who've joined. Zach Thong. Zach says, I just want to play guitar. That's all I want. I don't want to press buttons. Kim Hudson says, I used to worry about that until I realized everyone does that. You can't help but have your influences come through. Absolutely. I saw Robbie Stingle in the house as well, and Sean Chandler. G'day.
Yeah, I like Robbie's comment before. He said, I'm too busy writing and making music to worry about who's listening to my music. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good way to be.
Absolutely. Just get on with it. Let's talk finance.
Yes.
Financial stuff, because this is a thing at the moment, definitely, with things going up. And look, I'm just going to say it. Most of you who followed my channel, you know the history. I was a mod over in Pete's channel, and been making music for many, many years. Used to help out in Pete's channel as a mod, and with links to apps and stuff, so Pete could just do the show. And then eventually started this channel in during COVID. And the reason was, well, the government were giving me money to build a studio. So I built a studio. And the thing is, though, when it comes down to it, when I look at this studio I have here every day, it hasn't helped me make more music. In fact, it's probably helped me make less music. Yep. And what do I mean by that? Because beforehand, all I had when I was homeless and stuff like that was just an iPad, an interface, some cables, and an acoustic guitar. And I was making some of the best music and continuously making music. Paralysis when it comes to gear. You've got the cost of gear, you've got gas, you've got the constant barrage coming at you day by day on social media. Whenever you say something, I'm thinking about buying a new interface. Facebook then decides to send you a million ads on interfaces, putting more pressure on you. Buy this interface, buy this interface. And it's like, and then on top of that, you've got subscriptions. Whoa. But the good news is, Pete, do we need it all?
Oh, mate, everything I say today is just a T-shirt slogan. It's like, no, use the gear you have right now to make your best
there it
music.
is. Woo.
Because you really can. And you're spot on that this is all about barriers and about limitations, and they actually help. The limitations and the barriers can actually help. And folks know that I use GarageBand and have for the longest time used GarageBand with stock plugins and try to use as little outside of that as possible and find ways to get the stuff done. So when I wanted some panning automation, I worked out a hack. When I didn't work it out, I think someone told me about it. I'm like, oh, that's rad. I'll put that on the show. And so, yeah, you find a way to do things that might take a few extra steps. But yeah, as soon as you, like you say, as soon as you have the luxury of having everything there for you, sometimes the creative juices aren't there to flow anymore. And I've definitely found that I've deliberately, look, money has also deliberately restricted me, but even when I was in a financial position to have perhaps invested more into my home studio setup, I simply chose not to, because that seemed to be the progression that I saw a lot of YouTubers make, and like the creative, what was the name of the, like Sean Cannell and all those folks that would tell you, here's what you do. See, you start a YouTube channel, you start it by yourself, and then you build up, and then you scale, and then you hire a team, and then you expand your studio, and then you do batch recording, and then you get stuff out there, and then you put out a course and a product, and you sell stuff, and you say it's worth $1,047, and you sell it for $47, and it's all just this cookie cutter bullshit. And then what? Then I'm in a middle management position of my company. That's what I got away from. I don't want to do that. I don't want to manage people. I don't want to worry about financial documents and things. It's hard enough just what we have to do with all the W-2s and forms that we have to fill in for YouTube and Amazon and the rest of it. So I don't want any of that. But I say all that to say a lot of other people do, but you kind of lose. I like to think that I'm pretty in touch. I still use the same Steinberg and Focusrite interfaces I used 8 years ago when I started the channel. Yep. My iPad's a little fancier now. It's got an M in front of its chip instead of an A. So, but do I use any of that power? No, not really. It's still kind of doing the same stuff that I was doing on my iPhone 6 and my iPad Air. So it's, and I like to think that I'm kind of showing people as they come in. And people have said to me critically, they've given me the feedback that like, oh, Pete, when people reach a certain level, I don't think your channel's for them anymore. And I'm like, I think you're right. I think that if you have graduated onto using Pro Tools and contact libraries and lots of buses and sends and all the external plugins and all the external rack-mounted gear, yeah, go watch Mike, Creative Source, because he likes all that shiny stuff. But I just like simple, compact. Sorry, Mike. But he does like his gear. He likes his eye candy and his B-roll footage of shiny gear. Whereas I'm like, nah, here's my interface. She's a bit dusty because I don't really do much except just plug shit in and record. Sorry, that's my third shit, and that's my fourth.
I know. I've sworn once.
You're already referencing my swearing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was.
But yeah, limitations for the win. And look, I know that comes. Can I just also point out that that comes from a place of entitlement where I have the gear and I already have enough to record. But I'll also say that I've made songs that are just on this, using the built-in microphone and a pair of headphones into my iPhone, and it still works. You can do it, especially these days. The software is so good that if you've got any iPhone made in the last like 7 years, the microphone on that's pretty good. And if you just get yourself a headphone adapter and a cheap pair of headphones, you can use that to monitor. You can sing directly in there. You can use your AI drummers and your virtual instruments, and you can create cool stuff, or not plug anything in at all and create it all in the box using it. Like a lot of people use loops. I know, oh, heaven forbid you use loops, but they use loops in their projects and they create really cool stuff. So yeah, I also just wanted to point that out, that people are like, oh, it's fine for you to say you choose not to buy it, Johns. I won't be able to pay my mortgage if I spend $100 on a new interface, so I've got to keep using my Behringer. And it's like, yeah, well then keep using your Behringer and see if you can save up over a couple of months and then maybe upgrade. Like, it doesn't have to be immediate. Use what you got right now. Create music.
Absolutely. Look, end of the day, your philosophy is right. GarageBand's free. You know, there's enough. There's so many free apps on iOS, right? That is ridiculous. So, like even the one that dropped by Audio Kit Pro, J6. That thing is it's probably the only synth you'll ever need. It's totally free, and it just drops totally free. There's so many apps out there. You don't need all the gear. You absolutely don't need all the gear.
Hello, Ed said, by the way, Studio Loops today.
Yeah.
10 million amazing samples to choose from. I like it.
Gmay, Driven to Write, hello too.
Yes, hello. Gordon Lee Weaver.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, Fat Panda Cat, I think we said good day too. But yeah, and like a lot of people just don't even think that freesound.org exists, not to mention another 100 or so sites that have free to use, completely free, non-attribution, Creative Commons licensed samples and loops, and just start using some of that stuff. Mix and match, just experiment. Like the more experimentation you do, the better. And I think what you've proven doing your creative hour from the last few weeks is that it doesn't always work out exactly the way you think, but sometimes that can even be better. Sometimes with a little bit of just, let's just sprinkle in a little bit of randomness, you can come up with something that you wouldn't. If you had all the time and all the gear to sit down and write something, there's no way you'd do what you do in 1 hour with limitations. So yeah, limit yourself and just play and experiment and have fun. It's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I bought some gear yesterday, Pete.
Yeah?
Oh, they're just monitor stands.
Yeah, that's a good question. What was the last piece? I'm looking around
boring.
me here. What was the last piece of gear I actually bought in here? I can't see any. There's nothing new or shiny in here at all. Actually, you know what it is? It is this. Oh, by the way, these things have changed my life. This is the
What is that?
the portable battery. These are made. They're Chinese white label stuff, but this is by Xyron. But these batteries that actually have the cords built in. So they've got a lightning, they've got a USB, and you can use that to actually charge it, and you've got USB-C. So I just take this, it's 10,000 milliamp, whatever, and like I just have one of these in my backpack all the time. And yeah, iPad, iPhone, everything can just be charged on the go. Anyway, so that's the last thing I bought, and $20. So if you need a new battery, because they used to be really crappy, like these cables would break immediately and they were really poorly made. But whatever the latest batch of these is, then yeah, buy them. They're cool.
They look lovely. So
well, that's it.
Yeah,
I'll add my mug.
I haven't bought gear for ages myself. I think it's all just at this point just stuff that depreciation stuff, guitar leads, guitar strings, a mic boot. Just that dumb stuff that is real. You need it, and it's a pain in the ass to buy. That stuff. It's
not
not
consumables, isn't it? Because once you've got a computer or an iPad or a device that you're using and an audio interface that does at least 24-bit audio, like everything else is just kind of like butter on top of that. So you've got the basic stuff, and it used to be. So the very first interface that I bought was really bad quality, really bad noise floor, really crappy quality sound. And then I got the Focusrite Scarlett, which was a step up. And then I got the Steinberg UR22, which was a step up. And now there's not much left. It's a bit like the software side of things with GarageBand and with Logic Pro. Everything now, like they did the 95% and the rest of it's 5% stuff. And look, people may disagree with me and say, oh no, because then when you go from your $100 microphone to your $1,000 microphone, the jump is better. But I know we've talked about this before. When it comes to gear, if you're a wine drinker, it's kind of like wine. Like I can tell the difference between a $5 bottle and a $20 bottle. And I can tell the difference between a $17 Amazon mic and a $100 Rode mic. But you'd need to have very good ears or a very good palate to taste the difference between a $20 and a $100 bottle of wine and a $100 and a $1,000 microphone. The sort of people that are using the U97s and 67s are the people that know exactly what they're doing. They've been audio engineers for 30 years and they've got the ear tuned in for that. Your average home studio record. In fact, how many people, you know this too, Jade, how many people went out there and bought SM7Bs because Rogan used them and everyone else used them, and then they realized that you need to do a whole bunch of tuning and you have to have some high-end gear with lots of gain to get those to sound anywhere near as good as a $100 Samson or Rode or microphone that we would use.
Yeah, so many people does. Yeah, look, the wine thing is that right. If you've ever, come on, folks, if you've ever known somebody who drinks wine and you go out to buy wine from a shop, You see the cheap stuff that's $5 and go, yeah, I'm going to throw up if I drink that. And then there's the $15 sweet spot. That's right in between. It'll get you drunk, and that's gear. That's gear in a
You want the
nutshell.
gear that will just get you nicely toasted. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, because look, this week I've been looking for a new audio interface. I thought I needed one, even though I've got a bunch here I could use. And I looked, and you know what? The difference is with the newest models of Scarletts and stuff, they all have air buttons. I don't even want that off. It's just can I plug something in and just go? That's all I give a shit about. So I stopped.
That's what you want. You want to
looking.
bake in a sound when you're recording it, rather than just adding an EQ or adding it's a bit weird. And like the one development that I do, if I upgrade my interface, that I do think is cool is 32-bit float. So not having the problem of clipping, because I think what I see there's two things that people do. I know this isn't an advice type show, but if you're using cheap gear in particular, so here you go, it's related to the cost and the financial side. If you're using especially cheaper gear, people are recording too hot, so you're turning up your input gain too much and you're getting clipping, and clipping is bad. Clipping can't be fixed in the mix. Forget about all that. Turn it down. You're in a digital environment. If you're using an audio interface that's $50 or more, it's going to have a low noise floor. If you record it in and you can't see the waveform, just turn the volume up or normalize your audio. You'll be fine. The other thing people are doing is their output's too loud. So they're going the sausage waveform, or they're turning everything up to 11. Remember that when you're recording 8 tracks and they're all at unity gain, the overall build-up of all of that is going to be much louder than 0 dB. So you are going to have to pull down the volume of your tracks or use compression or some way of taming those sounds to bring it back down. So it's not the case. It used to be the case that people recorded too low because they were afraid of clipping back in the analog days. And now it's the exact opposite. I see every time I see someone or hear someone. I know you have the same problem when you're mastering people's music. It's very rare that it's too quiet and too soft and unable to be heard.
Yes.
It's very common that it's the exact flip side and it's way too loud.
Gmail asks, is the Sterling Harmony H224 good or junk? You know what? Here's the thing. Does it work for you, Camp Gmail? Gary, does it work for you? Because that's the most important question. If it doesn't work for you, then it probably should be in the bin and it's junk. But if it's working for you and there's no problems, it's awesome. That's the most important thing if it works for you.
And I don't know what that is. And I'm happy to admit that, because there are so many brands and so many different things that I've just had to Google that and look it up. And it looks pretty cool. It looks like I've not used any Sterling gear before, but it looks like an audio interface.
Subscriptions are a big thing too. They're a constant burden for people, and it's getting worse and worse. I've been watching Linus Tech Tips have been talking about this big debate that's happening at the moment about piracy being. Here's the deal. If you want us to subscribe to shit and we're not allowed to own anything anymore, then piracy is okay.
It's it's something I think about every day, because it's a bit like the advertising thing. Obviously, we're supported by ads on YouTube, no surprise, and we have YouTube memberships and Patreons, which are subscriptions. So I would be a mega giant hypocrite if I got up here and just went, all subscriptions bad. But too many subscriptions are bad. And what I say about subscriptions is that they should be like a subscription. I think of as like a newspaper. That's the classic subscription. Every day it's something different. It's adding value. It's adding something new every day. What a lot of subscriptions these days are doing is they're just giving you a static amount of stuff. And you can say that, but the streaming platforms or the movie platforms and stuff, they're constantly changing things. But it's the same amount of stuff, and they're deliberately removing things so they don't have to pay the licensing fees for these shows and these movies that they don't actually want. So yeah, I think, and when it comes to software, like in terms of your software subscriptions, things like Logic Pro, which cost you $5 a month, they are continuing to update that. We're at version 2.2.1 in 2 years. So we've gone from 1 to 1.1 to 2 to 2.1 to 2.2. And that's not bad. If they hadn't done that, if you were still just paying for the same piece of software and it hadn't changed, looking at you, Pro Tools, hadn't changed in years, and you're still paying a yearly or a monthly fee to use that piece of software, then I think that's kind of crap. So I think what you provide through your YouTube memberships and through Patreon, and hopefully what I do, is constant stuff. It's always something there. There's always new and evolving content that folks can get. And I think the classic example is I saw an EQ plugin. I can't remember the name. It was called like Goose EQ or something. And they wanted me to review it. And it was 99 cents a month. And I'm like, I fundamentally can't support anything that says here this EQ plugin is 99 cents a month. A, there are 100 EQ plugins, including the built-in EQs that work just fine. And B, you're not changing. What can you do to an EQ that's providing monthly value? Like if you think you're going to charge a monthly fee, I think you should be providing monthly value. If you're not providing monthly value, if you're providing a static delivery of a thing, that's called a thing that you should buy. That's an item, that's a product, that's not a service. If it's a true service and you're paying a subscription fee, you're enjoying the service and you can choose to end your subscription and no longer enjoy the service, I think that's absolutely fine. Maybe I'm a bit biased because I love supporting creators on Patreon. I love all the stuff I do in music. I love tech, so I love supporting LGR and other tech channels as well because I get something out of it. I get a monthly update. I get early access to videos, and I think it's cool. So I don't know, that's my take on subscriptions. I don't think they're evil inherently. I just think that, yeah, they're taking the piss though. A little bit. The movies and the TV shows are taking the piss because it was Netflix and now there are about 7 different streaming platforms you have to get if you want everything. And then you don't even get everything because some are just not licensed at all.
And it changes. And Apple was supposed to fix that. You remember that? They were going to fix TV?
Yeah.
I don't think that ever happened. So
No, they did. If you go to your Apple TV, you can log into all your things and then the front screen will have everything and it'll automatically take you to your Paramount Plus or your other thing, but it's not fixed. It's just
more
consolidating all the stuff you already pay for.
I think it's more broken, especially when you're having to change. Like, for example, WWE used to be on binge TV here because I don't have Foxtel. And then all of a sudden Netflix have got it. And I've got to cancel this one, go over to Netflix. How long is it going to be on Netflix for? Oh, God.
No, and you're right about the piracy thing is interesting because, look, so my background, I think statute of limitations here is okay. But yeah, like when I was a kid, when I was a poor student, I did pirate stuff. So I think everyone in the world had Napster and Kazaa and LimeWire and stuff. And it was because there wasn't anything that had all this. And when Netflix landed and then Hulu in the States, basically everything was on either Netflix or Hulu. And I said, you know what? I couldn't go completely white market, but I'm going grey market because I had to sign up to Netflix and Hulu. We didn't have it in Australia at the time. So I had to sign up using a very elaborate process involving PayPal accounts that were in US addresses that didn't exist. So I was breaching terms of services, but I wasn't actually breaking the law per se. The worst they could do was to kick me off these services, but they wanted my money, so they kept me. And then, that was great. That was the best few years of my life because between Hulu, which had all of the TV channels in the US, and Netflix, which had pretty much all of the movies at the time because it was the only game in town, there was everything. And then there wasn't. Then they started falling away because they started having these extra deals, and Paramount had their own separate thing, and then CBS had their own separate thing, and then Fox had their own separate thing. And then we had Disney that pulled all their Disney stuff and created Disney Plus. And it's just going on and on. Now HBO have come in, and HBO are now in Australia with HBO Max, not Max, HBO, not HBO, Max. And it's just an absolute mess. So I'm at the point now, I wanted to watch a show called Herman's Head. I'm a big 90s sitcom fan.
Oh, what a great show.
And Herman's Head was terrible, but it was a great terrible.
Yeah.
It is nowhere. It is absolutely unless you can find the old VHSs and DVDs of it, you can't get it anywhere. And it was the first time in a long time that I've thought, bet I know where I could get it. I bet I know where I could find all 4 seasons in good quality, beautifully ripped and in nice packages. Yeah. So there you go.
On YouTube, look at that. Herman's Head, full episode, season 1, 2, and 3.
Well, there you go.
In a playlist. Pete.
I didn't even think of YouTube, which is weird because I should have. Because a lot of this stuff, when it goes out of print and the copyright, they just can't be bothered chasing it anymore. They just stop caring. All right, well there you go. So the rest of my day is sorted. It's going to be a Herman's Head YouTube marathon.
Problem solved. I've just bookmarked that. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's a terrible, terrible show, but it's so funny. It's like if you've ever seen the show the movie, the one with the people living in the brain, the Disney movie, Inside Out. It's the same concept as that, but the people living in there are like Hank Azaria, and it's actually got Hank Azaria in the head, and it's got the voice of Lisa as one of the characters as well. What's her name? I cannot remember. I'm having mental blanks.
Isn't she in it?
Yeah, she's actually
she's
a human.
yeah.
Like she's one of the characters that
is.
talks with the guy that has the people in his head. Why can't I think of the name of someone in the chat? Tell me the name of Lisa's voice
I can't
actress.
think of her name.
Yardley Smith.
Yes.
Yeah, got there. I'm getting that thing where you're like, I have to test my brain. I don't know if anyone else has this. Speaking of limitations and barriers, I'm doing that thing where I could look something up and I'm like, nah, I'm giving myself at least a minute on this before I go to the internet. I'm giving my brain a bit of a workout here and try and see if I can remember.
Put ChatGPT down. That's my
right.
go-to now. I just open up and say,
I know.
help me, honey.
I know.
Help me do things.
The awesome, the British lady voice on ChatGPT. I'm kind of got a bit of a thing going there. I think Georgie's probably just like, why do you keep talking to this British lady? Because she kind of just lays down the law a bit. Anyway,
I've got a sexy one on mine. I like giggly and playful. That's so weird.
It is weird that speaking of confidence, if you ever want a confidence boost, just talk to ChatGPT. Every idea I've ever had has been awesome idea, amazing. And apparently you can train it to not be that way. You can just train it to do the thing. But it's so weird that these tech bros were like, do you think we need to make them say that it was a good idea? Yeah, let's just make them say it.
You can change that. You can go in and change her to be more horrible to you.
Just the facts, man.
Yeah, exactly. Just the last thing on financial stuff before we move on. Again, the most important thing with your finances is your rent and your bills and your food. Make sure you eat before you go and buy gear. That's my opinion. And if you're going to buy gear, put it in the basket for at least 2 months. That's the way I do it. I let it sit there, and then I get constant reminders going, hey, remember you left this thing in the basket? And I'll go, yeah, I remember. And then I'll get another message saying, remember you left this thing in the basket? And then I'll get a third message that says, remember you left this thing in the basket? We'll give you 25% off if you buy it now. And I go, thank you very much. Let's go.
And as someone whose income is not completely based around, but definitely helped by Amazon affiliate sales, I shouldn't tell you this. I should say buy. Just buy everything right now. But you don't have to. It's not as good as it seems.
Don't.
The FOMO of the sale that is right now, and we're coming into Amazon Prime Day. There'll be lots of stuff that looks all shiny, and they'll be like 43% off. I know I've said this a bunch of times as well, but camel. Right? Camel.com is the place to go if you want to compare prices, because Amazon will say 43% off, and then you'll realize that that's off the street price, which is $159, and it's never been more than $109 on Amazon ever. But you won't know that because Amazon always compare and put their discounts based on their list price, which is never the price you pay for much stuff, especially audio gear. So camel.com, put in your thing there, and you'll see the sad fact that the SM57 and SM58 are now $109. They were the one thing. They were like the currency. They were $99 for ever, and they would drop down to $79 or $89 during a sale. And now, I'm sorry to say, they're $109.
I know, and that extra it's $10 they've added on, isn't it? Yeah, but that extra $10, folks, trust me, you want a mic that's going to last you forever.
Yeah,
I've had mine for 12 years. Yeah. And it got run over by a car. It's still going, man.
Yeah, mine's had various trips. It's been outdoors in the rain, like my SM57. It's been battered around. It's been thrown into backpacks. It's been thrown into hard cases. And I've had it for about 15 years. And it is as good as the day I got it. I don't know what they make them out of. I think there's some weird mine somewhere that Shure go to, and they dig up this extra hard stuff, and then they just make the microphones out of that because they just do not break, and they work forever. So.
I am going to play a track, Pete.
Nice.
One of yours.
Oh, even nicer.
Yes, because it's going to tie into the next subject. So grab yourself a drink or a bevy, folks. We're going to play this track by Pete Johns. It goes by the name of Learn.
We all got a lot to learn.
Because we do. Always. And let's play it now. I think I'm all good. We're all queued up. This is Pete Johns. Learn. We'll see you back here shortly. Let's do it, baby.
2, 3, 4.
Pete Johns and Learn, and we're back here now. I just want to run the ad. So every day we run an ad, and you can, you may or may not get an ad, but we do it so everyone gets it at the same time. If you do it, don't you can skip it or come back. And while I see Pete's just come back. He went for a little trip there. I just want to let you know some things that are happening. So currently, tomorrow, we're taking a look at a really cool app, which is, and I can't find it, it is called this, Battalion. We're taking a look at this. It's a really cool drum synth. Wanted to let you know that's happening. Also, what else is happening is this week's, we're doing the opening hour again this week, and it's You Decide. You get to pick. Is it going to be Faith No More? Boom. With me in the middle. Look at that. Look how cool AI is. Look at that. To put me in the middle of Faith No More. It's so wicked. Or is it going to be Pearl Jam? And there I am with Pearl Jam. AI is so cool. So you get to pick. There's my posts, there's a poll going on. You get to decide which song. And I just want to cover this quickly. On Monday, Sunday, your time, we're going to be talking about this. And you're not going to want to miss this. If you make video using CapCut, you better watch this show. You better watch this show because, fuck me, CapCut, evil company. Welcome back, Pete.
Oh, thank you. Didn't you tell me that I should use CapCut for my videos and I kept ignoring you?
I
think
did.
I made the right decision now.
Look, here's the thing with CapCut, man. The only thing I love about CapCut is being able to make lyric videos super easy. I don't use it for anything else, just lyric videos. But now with these new terms of service, oh my God, there's going to be lawsuits and they're not going to work. People are going to lose all their rights and they're going to own you and they can do whatever they want. We'll talk about it then anyway. But we played that song because of technical barriers. Technical barriers are one of the reasons I know my channel exists is to help break through some of those technical barriers. And I'm sure Pete is exactly the same. That is one of the things because you know, this stuff can be overwhelming. Manuals, all these things that you've got to read and understand. And we try and provide a service here of making it easy for you to understand. You've got things like being overwhelmed by so many apps. Overwhelmed, inadequate, feeling like you've got inadequate gear or, you know, these things. Your computer's running slow or your iPad can't do the things that you want it to do. Or with a lot of apps, like one of the apps I covered this week, Russ was saying to me, that's a really great app, but fuck me, that learning curve. I don't have days to sit there and learn how to do something I'm probably going to use once. Technical barriers with this kind of stuff, Pete. What's your advice?
My advice is ignore it all. Never buy or install a new app. Just use what you've always used forever.
Give
there
up.
You go. Done. Sorted. No, but it's that is, I jokingly say that, but where folks, and I say folks and I include myself in this, where we all get into trouble is that we have FOMO and we think that we're missing out if we're not using the latest and the greatest. And if something new comes out or there's something that seems to do a better job of things that someone's showcasing, and yes, you and I are to blame for this, Jade, because we showcase some of this stuff, people think they need to jump onto it. And when Logic Pro came out for iPad, we had a lot of folks that were in this boat. They downloaded the trial and they tried out Logic Pro and they messaged me. Like I had a bunch of emails and messages about a week or two into Logic Pro because I was doing all the tutorials and I was showing all the stuff. And people were like, I just don't understand what all this is and I don't know why I need it and why am I doing this and what's a bus and why am I sending this to here and I'm just so confused. And I'm like, why did you upgrade? And they're like, because I used GarageBand. I saw you use Logic, so I thought I should use Logic. I'm like, is there anything in Logic that GarageBand doesn't do that you need it to? Pause. No, I don't think so. I don't really know. But it's new and it's shiny and you used it. And I'm like, yeah, but do you need to use it? If you don't need to use it, keep using GarageBand. Keep using what you're using if it's working for you. Because we see this where people change things up. And I'm not saying never change. Like new things come out and try them. But the thing is, when you do things, you know, you say this about failure and, you know, mistakes make you better. It's the thing that if you try something and it doesn't work, that's as important and as valuable piece of information as if you try something and it does work for you. Because you won't know till you try, so you should probably check it out. You should probably try new things. But if they don't work for you, and that doesn't mean sit in your little bubble comfort zone forever and never change, because stuff's going to change. If that was the case, people would still be rocking their Tascam 4 tracks and trying to record on those. I don't think that's a viable option unless you're really retro nostalgic. But what is GarageBand? It's free. It's on every iPhone, iPad, and Mac in the world. You get at least 32 tracks. You got all the plugins and all the AUV3s that support that you need, and you just plug and you record and you go. So yeah, I think overcomplicating things is one of the challenges that people have with the technical side. The other thing is trying to jump in and boil the ocean and do everything at once. I'm a big fan of chunking it down and starting slow. And when people are learning GarageBand, I'll say, open up your GarageBand and just tinker. Like experiment with some loops, maybe jump into the live loops option, go to the Apple loops and bring in a drum loop and then a bass loop and then a keys loop and see how it actually works. Go and hit autoplay on the guitar and see what happens there. Fiddle with the time signatures and key signatures. Have a real proper just fiddle about, twiddle knobs and just have fun and see what happens. And then you can start doing different things. So learn one thing at a time. Go, right, I'm going to work out the drummer. I don't know how to use that. I'll go to Studio Live today. I'll type Pete John's drummer GarageBand into YouTube, and I'll watch this funny guy in Australia talk for 10 minutes. And then I will go and do it. This is the other thing, the other key thing. Stop watching tutorials. Stop watching YouTube. Stop watching Jade. Stop watching me. You should be doing at least 80% doing and 20% watching. Because you are not going to learn, you're not going to absorb the information by watching us fiddle. You need to go and fiddle yourself. It's a bit like watching prawn. Sometimes it's fine, but you just want to go and do it yourself sometimes.
Oh, Lord, help me. Hang on. Let's put a close-up on him for that one.
All right, all the fiddle about talk. I'm like, I'm going to own this before Jade says, it's a bit like this, isn't it, Johns? Oh,
Man, I think I'm mellowing out. I didn't even think of anything like that. What is happening? What's going on? I'm becoming Pete. Pete's becoming me.
We're switching.
It's Freaky Friday, Pete. It's Freaky.
The same thing happened with my wife. She used to be like all like free spirited and just out there and doing her thing, and now she's like, I'm overthinking things all the time and it's all your fault. And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. It's bad, isn't it? So yes, you do. You absorb other people and you all sort of meet in the middle. So I think that's probably what's happening here.
I'm going to say it straight up. Here's the deal. Don't listen to people who tell you that GarageBand's just a toy or any of this shit. If it's working for you, it's working for you. Yeah. Go and listen to the Lily Pillies, right? And then turn around and tell me, oh, that was made on GarageBand. Go fuck yourself. Right, at the end of the day, I'm just catching up with the swears now because this gets me really angry, right? Because there's nobody out there on this planet who sits there and will hear a song on the radio, on Spotify, anywhere and go, I like that song, it's really good, but I think it was made on GarageBand, so I'm going to have to give it a thumbs down. Fuck off, It doesn't happen. So with technical stuff, and yes, I agree 100%. Stop watching shit. No, continue to watch shit. Just watch shit in certain hours. Like, see, I was watching shit all the time, and that's one of the things I changed in the last week. No, during the day, stop watching tutorials and stuff and stupid stuff. Go and make some music for 2 hours, and come back and watch all your stuff. Yep. Make it a treat. Like I'm teasing myself with watching Mike Enjo tutorials. It works. Yeah. Just don't watch it. Go make something.
Yeah, and again, I'm not telling people off for watching stuff. Like for entertainment value, sure, but for the learning side of it, like I've done it too. I've binged tutorials about things and then gone away and never actually applied what I've learned and does nothing. I don't remember any of that stuff because I'm not doing the doing. And different people learn in different styles too. So you may actually be someone who can absorb absolutely everything. You watch one tutorial, you just listen to it, it all goes into your head, you open the app and then you remember everything and how to do it. But for the most of us, we are at least, a part of us are what's called a kinesthetic learner, where you actually have to physically touch and do to actually embed the knowledge. There's auditory learners, there's visual learners, but the kinesthetic side of it is where you have to actually do the thing. And then there's people that learn by teaching, which is what I found about myself. So one of the best things you can do if you're struggling with the technical barriers and the limitations is help someone else. And we've seen this happen in a lot of our communities as well. People that I kind of was the mentor of, it's like the mentee becomes the mentor, and they're now experts in all of this stuff. and they're the ones that are helping out other people. And that's where with Jade in particular, I saw you doing that, and I kind of jumped on that. It was a bit like we were talking about with Thomas in my show today. We basically just gently pushed Thomas into doing his own show, because we're like, you need to take some of this burden, mate. You can't just be a moderator in our channels. We need you to go and do your own show. And I said the same to Jade. I'm like, Jade, I am sick to death of covering all of these apps. I don't have the brain power to learn them. You know more about them than I do. You're in the Facebook groups answering people's questions. You cover them. You're like, I don't care. Just cover them. Just start a channel and start covering the apps. And you did. And the rest is history. But yeah, I think teaching people is another thing. If you're struggling with the technical barriers and the learning capability, teaching someone else and talking about things. It's why forums are so popular, why people just jump online and chat about things. It's not just to fanboy and fan person out on things. It's also the fact that the more you talk about things, you might pick up a few little bits and pieces, and you might learn something that you hadn't before from other people.
Get the resuscitation out.
Getting all choked up.
We're losing him. We're losing him, folks. We're losing him. Do I have a heartbeat thing?
Don't get this cold at the moment. I've got this thing and this thing going around at the moment, and there's a 100-day cough, they're calling it, that's attached to the end of it.
I don't want that.
Which, so I feel absolutely fine, and I felt great for like 4 weeks. I had this cold for like a week, and then I'm about a month and a half into the 100-day cough. So it just comes like just inappropriately at times like that for no apparent reason, and then I'm absolutely fine for another hour. So go figure.
I think I just want to touch on learning stuff. Like I learn stuff every week. That's my job. So, when I cover an app, trust me, I haven't just like opened the app once and gone, let's go, we're ready to go. Some things you can do that with, but I spend so much time each week reading manuals and learning how to do stuff. And the problem is with it, when you try to take on too much and learn too many things, by the time it comes around again till you go, oh, there's that app I can use for this song. You open it up and go, I've got no idea how to use this thing. I did a demo on it 2 years ago. Let me go back and watch my own fucking demo. Oh, this sucks. So
Russ does it right.
Yeah.
Russ 8889, whenever he gets a new app, he basically makes a track with it. So he learns by doing, and he creates music by just using it straight away. And I think for you, you're definitely learning by teaching because you're demonstrating it. And that's the thing. Russ is just doing the same version of that, but just for himself. So, sometimes doing things like that. And, hey, you don't have to feel bad. Like, just record yourself learning the app. Pretend you're a teacher and pretend you're teaching someone if you have no one to
helps.
teach. Yeah, just do like a 30-minute session. Like, right, today, we're going to learn how to use this freaking app. And then, all right, let's learn. Oh, that says that. And then I do this. Yeah.
Man, I do that walking around my house. Seriously, I fully will. It's not scripted. I will just fully do the beginning of a show and hold the iPad. Which walking around, it's weird. You wouldn't want to see what I do in private. It's.
I think we all had that. We all wanted to be like radio DJs and like, hey, that was a new one from Nirvana, and we've all talked. And again, coming right back to what we talked about at the start of like the confidence and the wanting to do things in front of people. Yeah, if we all just danced like no one's watching and sung like no one was listening, world would be a much nicer place, because I think we mask and hide so much of ourselves due to the fear of judgment from others that it's kind of stupid. If we all, and look, I'm not saying let's all walk around and be 100% honest all the time, because that could be a bit of a worry. If you said exactly what you thought all the time in public, yes, we'd have anarchy. But just the whole fact of everyone hiding themselves and saying, because I'm not confident, I'm not going to do this thing. It's like, nah, just do it. And I think, not that you have to have kids. I hate when people say, oh, since I had children, I say, my whole life has changed. But I used to get embarrassed, and then I realized, what is embarrassment but caring too much about what other people think? And it's not that I don't care about others. I will try to act and behave appropriately where possible, but I'll also just be a big giant dork and not really care. So, and if it makes people laugh, all the better. It usually makes my children cringe, so I do have to be careful with that sort of thing. But when I'm just like walking along and someone looks at me and I just jump into a skip for about 10 meters, that's going to brighten someone's day, because they see this dude, hoodie, backpack, walking along with his phone, and they kind of drive past, looking at me, and suddenly I just skip for like a couple of seconds, and they just stop and go back to it. They got a story now. They're like, there was this weird dude, and he had a backpack and a hoodie on. I thought he was going to mug me, and then he started skipping, and the whole world seems weird, bit brighter now. So yeah, don't be afraid to brighten people's day by being a little strange.
Be a dickhead. Absolutely. I agree. Hello,
big giant
Falcro and Forest of the Wolf and Balls to Mix Club and Joel
Balls. You missed the Balls
Crouch.
Mix Club.
And
I had balls in my intro of my show this morning. I was like, this is the one time it would be appropriate for Rhett to be here, and he wasn't bloody there.
I was worried where that was going to go. Let's
After the last couple, sheesh.
Let's talk about environmental barriers. I love this one because Bridget was in the chat earlier and she was talking. I think she was getting a little bit upset with. I hope she wasn't feeling that she was being targeted or anything, because that's not what this is about. This is about trying to break through things. But she was saying that she's recorded music from in hospital, right? And I've done that too. When I was in hospital for 2 months and they took my spleen and all this stuff, I had my iPad in there. I was literally making music in there. Absolutely. You can make music anywhere these days, even when I was homeless and in a park stealing the Wi-Fi from somebody with a bag and a guitar. I was still making fucking music. So, those barriers really test you, especially really hardcore things like that. They really test you and put you under pressure. And it's like weeds. Weeds will come up through concrete. They will. They're weeds. That's what they do. And if you're a musician, you will find a way to make music no matter where you are. Yeah, if you're in a horrible situation, you will do so without a dedicated space, So a couple of things I want to cover. I'll mention points and we can go on them. Noise restrictions. Man, this is a big one for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And dedicated space. I sit here and take it for granted. Like, look, I've got an actual room that I can come into each day. You've got a green screen behind you with, covering. We don't all have the ideal spaces. And how have you dealt with spaces and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, look, I don't have a space right now. So timing is important. So this is also my bedroom. So
Yes.
I can't get up at 6 a.m. if I've got an idea and record it because my wife's sleeping behind me. Not now, but that time of the day. And I've got children, and I've had young children at the time where, you just get them to bed. The last thing you want to do is rock out with a big guitar chord or a big wailing note and wake up the babies. So, yeah, that can be a challenge. So it's about being creative, and we've talked to a lot of people. So I interviewed the artist called Army of 100 Sheep, who recorded in their car. I know Ron from Wolfstone Studios done some car vocals. The car can be a good recording booth, and you're like, but I don't have a car. You have outdoors. I've done a lot of recording. If you go back to the early days of this channel when I did have younger children and very little space, I'd make videos outside, and I'd actually record vocals while I was outside. One time I was in a phone booth, back when phone booths existed, and I'm like, oh, this has got some really interesting acoustics in here. So I pulled out my phone. Yes, you have to, again, to my previous point, you have to be okay with being a bit of a giant dork and have people look at you sometimes. But yeah, I just went to the phone booth with my phone and recorded a vocal take. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. I actually quite like the sound of that. Or just being out in open spaces. I go for lots of walks. I'm privileged here that I have places where I can go nearby that there's no one around, and I can make loud noises and do that. And I think being mobile and being portable, yeah, and having really good microphones on our mobile devices actually really helps with that sort of thing as well. The other thing I mentioned here is communication, because you can, even if you've got neighbours and you've got thin walls, if you chat to, talk to people, actually have conversations with your neighbours instead of just yelling at each other and banging on the walls, you'll know when you'll say, hey, I'm a musician and I'm making music. Can you just let me know, are there any times where you're definitely not around where I won't bother you? And you'd be amazed like how accommodating people are if you just kind of ask them. And they might even say, oh, you make music, that's rad. I play bass, so I'll come over and jam with you. So you never know where these things are going to lead to. So I used to have a band, and it was called Scarpa, and we played very loudly, and we rehearsed in the back room of my house. And my dad would say, all right, tell me your schedule, when is the band coming? And I'm like, oh, Sunday between 2 and 5. And he'd go straight to the next door neighbour and he'd be like, Jeff, the band are playing Sunday from 2 to 5, I suggest you go and have an afternoon tea somewhere because you ain't going to hear much. And yeah, just little things like that can really help. So I'm not saying that it's always easy because people are like, but I live in a 10th floor apartment, a studio apartment with no rooms, 7 people, 3 dogs, 4 cats, and my neighbours are all dickheads. What can I do? I'm like, I don't know, go out for a walk, go to a park and try it there. Or create music that doesn't require making of noise. You might just become the world's finest electronic music producer.
Mime.
Because you can produce stuff, yeah, and make videos of you miming along to your EDM tracks. There's always options, but yeah, and talk to other people. Like when you've got limitations, you'll feel like your situation is so unique, no one's ever been in your situation before. And this is the case for everything. Like all the things on this list here, and I will talk about others, but technical, environmental, accessibility, disability, again, the main character syndrome thing, and that's not a negative, by the way. That's not saying you don't sometimes feel a little bit poor little old me, what we call a plom party. Yeah, you can have a plom party, but then once you've got past your plom party and you've had your tanty and you've got back on track, talk to other people, because you'll very quickly come to the conclusion that there's very little that's rare and unique. It's like I said about music. Music sounds like other music because there's only 12 notes in the Western scale. People are going through similar physical and mental and environmental challenges that you are. And if you talk to enough people, talk to 100 people, you'll find someone that's either exactly like you or very similar to you. I got one eye, and I didn't think there were many other one-eyed people in the world. And then the internet came along, and there's entire groups and forums and people out there that are talking about how they work with having one eye and having the limitations that they have by only having monocular vision, which is the technical term. So yeah, you are, I hate to say this, but you're not unique. You're a basic bee. And there's other people that have got similar things going on to you, which is a good thing. I know we want to be unique and we want to be our own people. I'm not saying you don't have your own unique qualities, but if you think that no one's ever gone through what I'm going through, maybe not exactly, but there's someone out there that's 90% you or 80% you that you can talk to and you can share in this stuff. So that was a long-winded way of saying, yes, there are limitations, but there's very few that can't be pushed past, and even environmental ones.
Absolutely. And there's so many ways that technology has moved so far ahead. You can head out and take your iPad or whatever and go and sing out in a park into a microphone and come home and use something like Bruce Free. And we're getting to the point now where nearly every door has some kind of noise suppression in there. And I'm telling you again, nobody is going to hear your song when it's finished and go, great song, but I'm pretty sure you recorded that in a park and put noise reduction on the vocals.
Yep.
It's just not going to happen. You know,
or create a whole new genre called whisper metal, where it's just you whispering into a microphone and then you just add a bunch of distortion. That could be actually really rad. I would listen to that.
Stephanie has the problem opposite of I have neighbours that party with techno every night and they refuse to turn it off. I don't know how to help with that one.
No, that's a call to council kind of thing, or just go party with. No, let's see. I'm getting the wrong idea then. No, you need to have a polka. You need to find out the music they hate the most, and then just turn that up even louder. So just play polka music at 4 a.m. really loudly.
You've got everyone excited about whisper metal now.
Whisper metal.
What's happening?
Turn up the table. Burn.
So I'm up to the last one. This is actually what inspired me to do today's show and talk about barriers, was talking about accessibility and disability, because it's something that doesn't get mentioned a lot by the broader music community. But there's one company out there who actually, you know, and we're not saying they're perfect at all by any, but Apple are one of those companies that do put a lot of things into their equipment that help people with disabilities, and it's not even disabilities, so they call it accessibility. And we've seen over the years with people who come in through the revolving door of chats and live streams and all this kind of stuff, that there are quite a few people in these communities and all around the world who are making music with what most people would look at and go, wow, that seems like such a barrier. How could you make music being, not being like Russ? Let's just use Russ for an example. Yeah.
Yep.
Russ is paralyzed down one side of his body, had a stroke and is paralyzed. And the dude just puts out the best music. Why? Because he's been able to find a tool to use to allow him to make music again. And it's absolutely amazing. And we've had people who are vision impaired, who can't hear, hearing impaired as well, who are still making music. And it's just fucking mind-blowing. Like, if there's ever been, for me personally, and I'm not trying to patronize anybody. For me, it's one of the most inspiring things I see when you see somebody in a forum going, "No, I feel like I can't make music because this interface sucks." It's like, listen, I know people who are completely deaf and they're making music more than you, and it's awesome. What's wrong with you? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. No, it's true, and it is hard. It is hard to tolerate when folks are complaining about the little things. And look, it's also hard to not devalue things, because the way I look at it is that you are the only one that's feeling what you're feeling. And there's physical limitations and mental limitations and environmental limitations that we all have. And some are more quote unquote severe than others. It does irritate me. So there's an artist that we've played on Your Music Live and that I'm always inspired by, called Kevin James French, who actually makes music on his iPad with a head pointer, which is exactly what it sounds like. He has a pointer on his head and he has to actually touch the screen because he has zero movement, zero mobility in any part of his body, mostly non-verbal, I believe, and just has to tap the screen. And can you imagine, just imagine strapping the Apple Pencil to your head and then grabbing your iPad and trying to make music. Not to make light of it, but it would be very, very difficult. It's like me in a 3D movie. It's very difficult to see how you do that. But it's just so inspiring when you see these creators like Russ and like Kevin and like people who are vision impaired, like Omni Collective Creativity, who make songs. And remember the first time we played one of their songs on YML, the video is a black screen. And people are like, "Oh, there's something wrong with the video." I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong with the video. The creator who made this is blind, and therefore they don't really bother putting any videos to their music because they wouldn't see it anyway. And again, it's like you said before, no one says, "Oh, that's pretty good music for a blind creator," or to Russ, "That's pretty good music for someone that can only use one hand," or "That's pretty good music for someone using a head pointer device to do it," or "That's pretty good music for someone who spends 80% of their time in chronic pain." They just say that's good music. And I think it was Bridget or someone earlier in the chat said that they've been through a lot of stuff, but they feel that actually brings some uniqueness to their music. Yeah. And I think that's important as well. I'm not saying, hey, isn't it great how people have physical disabilities and pain problems and problems with... No, of course it's not. But if you can leverage that and if you can turn that into... I mean, think of the blues. These were repressed, mostly black people living in fairly poor conditions. And what did they do? They played the blues. They talked about the problems that they had and they talked about how things were bad. And it's some of the best music that was ever made because it came from this place of like passion and soul and heart. And it's the same with people that can share their stories through their music. Music's a great story writing and a great sharing medium. And you can actually share your experience and what you go through and make people feel maybe a little bit of what you are actually going through. And it's not about, the plum party thing again, because again, that's patronizing, but it's about saying, hey, guess what? You had barriers, you had limitations, you said F them, and you did it anyway. And I think that's the best thing about music creation that I see.
Yeah, look, we're all faced with these barriers, and it may not be all of them, but they come and go, and they may be around for a while. And one thing I know Russ and we kind of watch a lot. Oh man, there's this DJ I saw too. I forget his name. He's a full DJ. He doesn't have any arms and legs. And he does these live streams where he's DJing. Oh my God, I just sit there and go, what am I? Every time I watch it, I just sit here and I don't sit there and I don't feel sorry or anything. I just look at myself and go, what the fuck is your excuse? Get off your ass, Jade. Holy shit. Like, it blows me away. We saw a video the other day of a guy playing keyboard and he didn't even have a pointer and he was just using his head. And I'm like, dude, this guy's better than like half the keyboard players I know. And thankfully, like again, like we said with Apple, they do provide these kind of things within their services. So
it is good. Like Apple probably lead the way in terms of this, and that's not me saying that because I don't use a lot of the accessibility features. But again, I know lots of vision impaired people and lots of mobility impaired folks that use Apple products, and they do. They have a whole bunch of settings in there that actually help them. And in America, one of the best things that America have done, and look, I'm sometimes critical of things that happen in the US, but they have the Americans with Disabilities Act, which means that companies actually do have to care about people that don't have the same abilities as everyone else, which is important. So it's why we have things like closed captioning on videos. So if you're watching this on replay, YouTube do a decent, if not perfect job of automatically captioning all their videos, because that's a service that they do for folks that can't hear. And some people are watching this with closed captions right now. They also put in place that you have to be able to have things for vision impaired folks. So the whole voiceover that you have, there are people. And again, I'll point out Omni Collective Creativity. He did a video where he showed how he creates in GarageBand.
Yes.
And it's the voice on like 4x speed. So if you think of where you got GarageBand, it's like track settings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. It's like just that quick. It's like compressor, attack, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. And he's just moving that. And he's doing it all with voice, and it's just giving these voice commands back. And you think, yeah, how hard is it to go into plugins and EQs, visual EQ, and turn your bass down by 4 dB, and then think if you have to explain that and work through menus with your voice to get there. But it exists, and it exists because everyone should have the right to be able to do this, whether you are physically able or not. And yeah, it's super inspiring that there's people out there that do this stuff. And it's my favorite, one of the favorite parts of my job is that music, and it's why I hate music. If you think, why does Johns hate all these music competition shows and these music reality shows? It's because I think that music is one of the things where it can be an open playing field. It can be that everyone gets to participate and enjoy, and you can say, oh, it's 8 plates, trophies, and all that sort of woke BS. But like, there's enough competitive stuff in life, right? There's sports, and there's jobs, and there's things where you do have to compete for them. Why do we have to compete over music? Why can't everyone just create music? And why can't you just like as much or as little of that music as you like? It should just be completely open and free environment where everyone can create and participate, and everyone can listen to what they want, and no one can tell anyone that they shouldn't do it.
absolutely. And Apple have released with the App Store. So I'll show it here with the App Store. When you scroll through an app and you get down to this point, there's normally this app privacy section down here. They, in iOS 26, I don't know if it's in the beta, but they've announced now for all app developers around this section, there's a new section that's been inserted, which is they have to list all of their accessibility items that they've included into the app, which is, to me, so overdue, because as what we do here, I mean, you know this, how many times have you had somebody come in the chat and go, is this accessibility feature in this app? Can I buy this app? Does it do this? And because we don't deal with that every day, it's not the first thing on our plate. So you're in a live stream and you go, I don't actually know. Shit. I don't use all those features, but it's really promising to know that Apple are going to force developers to do that. So people can make an informed decision and spend their money wisely and know it's going to work. On saying that, in other accessibility features, if you have never been there, folks, here's where it is. And please take this as gospel right here. When you see this kind of thing and think, oh, that's not my section. I don't need to worry about that. I don't have any disabilities. Bullshit. There's a lot of stuff in this section that is going to help you without a disability, because they've put a lot of stuff in here. Eye tracking, voice control. Look at there's so much stuff in here. You can get lost in the accessibility stuff in here.
Yeah, even just for me, not even an accessibility thing, but when the pointer control settings that are in there, I just made my pointer bigger because I kept losing my cursor on iPad. So just things like that. The text, you can increase the contrast of the text. So if you have aging eyes and you're not able to read things as easily, you can do that. With the new iPad OS 26, you want to completely turn off that glass effect where it looks like everything's underwater all the time.
Yeah.
You go in there and you turn it off. So yeah, there's options galore in there for everything. Even mono. So if you want to listen to your mix in mono in the most easiest and fundamental way, just go into audio settings and accessibility and switch it from stereo to mono. Or if you've got, I know a lot of people have hearing loss in one ear or the other, and maybe you don't hear it all out of one ear, or you've got reduced hearing in one ear. You can go in there and you can balance out the ears. You can change the panning balance between the left and the right ear so that you're hearing it the way that other people will hear it, knowing that you actually hear things lopsided because you don't have as much hearing. You can turn up the volume in the side that you have hearing loss and turn down the volume in the side where your hearing is good. So yeah, there is just a plethora of features in there for everyone. And look, accessibility is a lot about physical health and physical, and I like what Russ said here is you just turn your disability into an ability. It's a superpower because you do, it strengthens up the other side of it. I can see, I don't even think of myself as disabled, having one eye, but I can, like, my hearing is pristine. Like I can pinpoint hear things because I've had to rely on my hearing so much. Otherwise I might get run over by a bus when I'm out walking because I can't see anything over my right shoulder. And I've trained myself to be able to see things behind me on the left side a lot better than I would have if I had two eyes. So yeah, there's different things that you can do. Plus, when I get really pissed and drunk, I don't get double vision. So that's great. That's awesome. And if I wasn't stoned, you'd be able to tell if I was stoned. But if I just wink at you, you wouldn't, because suddenly the bloodshot would go away. I'd be like, "No, I'm perfectly fine, officer." So I'd be fine.
We've discussed this before, Pete. Like, I never ever thought about your eye or anything. But when I was there in your house, and we'd already gone out, we'd already hung out. But it was the day when I was in your studio and we did that live stream together. And you went, "You're going to sit there." And I was like, "Oh, that's very specific. I have to sit in this specific place." And then it wasn't until the show started and I was looking at you going, "Fuck, I'm sitting here in Pete Johns' house." And I'm looking going, "Oh, it all just, boom, brain explosion."
Yep.
He can see me over here out of his peripheral vision. And then during that show, if you go back and watch that show, you can see a lot of times me sitting there going, "Oh," and actually having these moments going, "Oh wow," when he's doing your music, when he's doing the happy hour, he's actually got to read those the lyrics all up. And my respect levels were just going. It was all right.
Yeah.
It was after the night we already got drunk and made fools of ourselves.
Well, that was probably the other thing. I'm just like, I want you that side because I've got the bucket on this side just in case. I need to lean over that way as well.
You don't think about that stuff, yeah?
No.
And I think this is the place kind of I really want to finish on is about thinking about this. Putting yourself in other people's shoes instead of always going, I'm the star of the show. Just going, especially when in forums and stuff, and before you bite someone's head off and go, "No, that's a shit interface." Just possibly think about their situation because you don't know it. When somebody just asks for help and goes, "Hey, I have this thing," and blah blah blah, you don't know. You don't know what barriers they are going through, right? Be it emotional, all that stuff. That's a really important thing to question. Are you being a barrier yourself? Ooh.
Yeah. And you're right. It could be, you don't know. It may be the worst day of that person's life and you don't know it. And you may innocently think that you're trying to help by saying a thing, and it may come across as, not sympathetic or empathetic to that person at that time. And I'm not saying you have to tread on eggshells around everyone all the time, because I know that, that's some people were critical of that. They're like, "Oh, I miss the old days where you say it like it is, call a spade a hammer," and these woke people these days that can't handle anything, can't take a joke. It's really got nothing to do with that. It's about, and I always say it's about always punching up and never punching down. So if you're finding someone that's having a bad day, that's telling you that they're in a rough situation, don't pile on. Like, that's the time where you can help build someone up. Save your thing for someone that comes in and starts calling everyone wankers and saying how they've got 37 years experience and that anyone that uses GarageBand sucks. Well, then go your hardest, because then you're punching up. You're punching up at someone that's already deserving of that, I guess. But if it's just someone that seems, and it's hard because sometimes you don't know the difference between someone that's genuinely just a sociopath and someone that's just having a really crap day, or they've hit rock bottom and they're looking for help. But yeah, just giving people a chance, I guess. Like, you'll soon find out. I always say this: you'll soon find out with someone if they are that way inclined, because even when someone's aggressively making comments, or you think's a bit snide, or you think's a bit snarky, if you say with sincerity and you respond to that saying, is everything okay? That doesn't sound like the sort of response that we normally see in this community. And I think you might be like hurting people's feelings, whatever you want to say. If they come back with anything but, oh shit, sorry, I was just having a bad time. I just really need some help with this and this and this. If they come straight back at you with, yeah, well, screw you, and no, so you'll very quickly work out the difference between the two, the people that are just there to cause trouble. And because that's the other thing, is that we can do a lot with music, but we're also, what's a nice way of saying it? We're not psychologists. We're not professionally trained counselors. There are people who are that, and you need to know the difference, I guess, between having a community that's going to support you with some of the things you're going through and some of your barriers and some of your challenges, and actually needing to seek some help outside of a music forum or a Facebook group. And there's a very grey area barrier in between the two. But it's about empathy and sympathy and just being nice. Just be genuinely nice to people when you can.
As Russ would say, don't be a Just don't.
True.
And Denise says here, I never learned to play an instrument because I had a physical disability, but now I'm writing music. And yes, I'm just going to say, Denise is the inspiration for this show today. She submitted her first song that she wrote to me on Patreon last week, and we mastered it. And it took her 6 months to put it together. It made me think a lot this week about me. I know, me. But it's made me evaluate, what am I bitching about? What is God? Yeah. So thank you, Denise.
Yes, no, that is super cool. And thank you, Denise, for sharing. Because that's the thing, it takes a lot of courage to share as well. Because society can sometimes give us this view of inferiority, and that anyone that's not exactly as society perceives as being normal, quote unquote normal, is lesser, and it's absolutely not the case. Plus the fact that, as we discussed before, everyone's got something. There is no normal, there is no perfection. It's an absolute myth, and it doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing. You, at some point in your life, have had or will have some sort of physical or mental barrier or limitation to doing the thing you want to do at that particular point in time. And so having, again, the empathy and the sympathy for other folks who are going through it helps you and helps them as well. So having the ability to identify that, this is something that I'm struggling with right now, but that other people might be as well. It just really helps out. And I think, to be honest, without spinning negative, it's the biggest problem I see in the world of like 2025 is that we've become very lack of community focus and very self-focused about our own little ring. We put this little ring around ourselves and maybe our immediate family and forget about other people. And that's why, without jumping on the political soapbox, we have problems with things like immigration, because we think that if you come from a different country and a different background and a different environment, then you are somehow inferior to me.
Yeah.
And
You're
it's the
a
same with this sort
problem.
of stuff. You're a problem, and you need to be fixed.
Instead of the problems that have got this person to need to get somewhere else. Like,
that's the problem. But we've been through this, and
yes.
I know it feels like we're the worst that we've ever been. But if you look back 100 years, women didn't vote, black people were slaves, you couldn't be LGBTQIA plus or any variation thereof, and we don't have it perfect by any stretch. I'm not saying that. We've got struggles and things feel like they're going a bit backwards and we're spinning our tires a little bit, but we will get through and we'll move on to the next phase. Empires only last, about 200, 250 years on average. So, hey, we're due for a change. It will be, it is a challenge. But that's why, again, and I know that Trevor Bear says resist, and I say, resist, but also do that by banding together and finding community and finding positivity. We just saw, again, I'm not going on all political here, but we just saw in New York, the mayoral race that they had there, the Democratic candidate who led with positivity, who said, we want to help people, we want to do the right thing. Guess what? Overwhelmingly, especially with young people, they were the ones that got nominated and that got the votes. And I very much can see them becoming the mayor of New York and a lot of things changing there. So there's positive, there's waves of good things happening in that landscape. And I think there's definitely lots of good things happening in our communities. You don't have to be involved in the horrible negative communities, because we will keep you sheltered and not sheltered. That's a wrong way of saying it. We will keep you supported is the word I was looking for in these communities, because that's what we do around here.
And if you are getting nasty comments or anything like that, do what I do. Just go, that's a bot.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't seen my episode on dead internet theory, it's happening, folks. It really is happening, and AI is contributing to it big time. I'm just going to cover a few things here.
Yes.
So GarageBand and Logic, if you didn't know, have a lot of built-in features for accessibility. And I'm only going to touch on a few for each. But touch instruments, of course. Yep. Touch instruments, fantastic. We look at them like, oh, wow, that's convenient. But for people with limited mobility, wow, don't need a physical keyboard, all that kind of stuff. Smart instruments, chords, scales, you can set scales, do all that kind of stuff. Gestures, all this kind of stuff. There's even a wah-wah pedal where you just open your mouth in GarageBand. It's ridiculous to use. You look like an idiot, but it works. And that's cool. You got drummer tracks, yeah? So you can arrange entire rhythms around the drums, and it takes away the need to be able to play drums. Logic Pro has a few as well. We've got the multi-touch mixer, so it works with assistive touch and voiceover, which is great. Keyboard shortcuts, external MIDI controllers for users with tactile feedback, and resizable UI custom workspaces, so you can zoom into tracks and pinch, all that kind of stuff for low vision. Plus, like I said before, in here, all this accessibility stuff, zooming, making the text larger, there is so much hidden stuff. In fact, there's so much hidden stuff in here. Even stuff like your mouse pointer and all that shit is in here, and most people can't find it. Apple Pencil stuff. Look at all this. Hearing. So everything's now separated into sections. Hearing section, speech, accessories, general, so guided access. There's so much in here. And, I'm not just mentioning this for people who may have a disability. We're all going blind, folks, right? Eventually it catches you. Even just making that text a little bit bigger, man, makes life so much easier and allows you to get on with making music. So don't look at accessibility like it's not for you. Yeah. Yep. If you're not disabled, this is ability. That's the beautiful thing. Again, I think they touched on it like what Russ said. It's ability, not disability. Russ proves it every day.
Yeah, and I prefer, differently abled if you're going to go with that, or just a person if you really want to get down to it, because we all have challenges and we all have different things, and it's kind of just different levels of things. So I've there was a teacher at my kid's school who had CP, cerebral palsy, and he was awesome. Like, he cruised around in his wheelchairs, the kids loved him. It was cool. There's people that are completely blind that are doing amazing things. Look, are they going to be pilots and bus drivers? No, it's about knowing your limitations, but then realizing that there's an awful lot you can do, though. I worked in call centers, and there was we hired people in wheelchairs, and we made, actually at one point I was doing the hiring, and I hired someone in a wheelchair, and someone said to me, that door there, it's not wheelchair accessible. And I'm like, well, guess what? We're going to make it wheelchair accessible. We're not hiring. Are you even suggesting that we're not hiring this person because there isn't a wheelchair accessible entrance? And they very quickly went, I'll talk to the building coordinator. We'll get that fixed. People with vision impairment, we had big giant monitors, like even back in the days where monitors were much smaller. You remember working in offices with a little 15-inch LCD, and we had a vision impaired dude that had the giant 32-inch screen that he was using at the time. I was quite jealous of that because I kind of wanted the giant screen too, but he needed it, so that was cool. So yeah, there's all sorts of ways to actually be able to do things and help people out. And yeah, whether it's physical or mental disability, I always fall back to that. Challenges that folks have, it's ingrained. It's just something that we've always said disabled, like the disabled parking. But yeah, we've always said disabled. But yeah, people that are mentally challenged as well, they're able to do this sort of stuff as well. Like there's so much, like iPads have been amazing for kids with autism being able to use iPads to communicate and to soothe them and to be able to have it. Music and sound is a big part of that, and the haptics of that, of the vibrations. If you saw one of the latest Apple ads, there was a guy that makes music that's almost completely deaf, but Apple have got this new haptic playback with Apple Music where he puts the phone in his arm pouch, and while he's working out, it actually buzzes and vibrates and does cool little haptic patterns in time with the music that he's creating. And it's like, it's so inspirational to see that there's these things that are available, that we're not just saying, oh, you're not exactly like 80-90% of people, well, then you miss out, you don't get anything. So it is actually cool. And other platforms do. Android does have some stuff, Windows does have some stuff, but it's hard to argue that Apple isn't leading the way with this sort of stuff.
Absolutely. Barriers were made to be broken, friends. That's like the rules. That's what this is about today. Just, hey, barriers are, you know what? You can look at a barrier and go, I can't get through it. Or you can decide to find a way around it. And, there's always a way around it. You can smash through it and be loud. You can quietly sneak around it. You can get somebody to create a distraction while you get through it. But that's what they're there for, yeah? It's the daily puzzle that we're thrown at. How are we going to navigate this thing? And I'm not trying to whittle this down to make it all sound like it's completely easy. No, none of us understand how our brains work. And AI is certainly never going to replace that function. But
yeah. And you will, I think you opened with this as well, you will have shit days. You will have those days where you get up and everything seems overwhelming and everything seems impossible and you'll feel like you can't do it. And you might even say to yourself, I can't do this. But just add something to do that. If you can say, it's a bit like people that say, I'm never making music again. Just say, I'm not making music today. I can't do this right now.
That's it.
Add that time-bound factor to it, because you will not feel the way you feel right now, and you will not be doing the things you're doing right now for the rest of your life. Some things will get better, some things will get worse, but things will change. Georgie and I joke about this, and I know you shouldn't, it's not really a funny thing, but you wake up and you're like, oh, my leg's sore. Is that temporary or permanent? Is that something for today, or is that something that I'm now living with because I'm old for the rest of my life? So, yeah, like when you wake up and you're just like, oh, geez, like I woke up yesterday and my knee was sore, and I'm like, oh, God, am I going to be able to go for a walk today? And I'm like, it should be right. Did a bit of stretching, got out there, half an hour later, it was okay. I'm like, phew, temporary today. But yeah, you just don't know. So just keep doing it anyway. Yeah. Ben Folds has a great song called Do It Anyway. And it's like, yeah, it's like not just do it. The Nike thing's just do it. And it's like, no, sometimes don't. Sometimes choose not to do it. It's just as much of a choice to not do things. And sometimes you need to not do things, as you know. Like if you are not in the right frame of mind and the right mindset to do it, then don't do it. And if you do that 7 days, 21 days, a year in a row, then maybe it's not for you. But don't make that decision based on 1 day or 1 week where you're having a bad time, because we've all been there. We've all been down in the doldrums and we've all felt depressed and we've all felt like things are never going to get back to anywhere near normal, let alone good again. And then they do. Yeah. And that's the thing with humans and with our brains. We get confidence, right back to the first point we talked about. Confidence is about consistency. And if you do something and then you do it again and then you do it again, you build up that mental muscle. As much as your physical muscles need to be there to be able to do the thing, your mental muscles have to be there to prove to yourself that you have it in you to get it done.
Abso-freaking-lutely. That's the thing with my little writing block I've been on for ages. I just haven't been saying, never again, I can't do it. Leave it open. Once you put I can't do this thing, that's your
Then you won't.
mindset. That's your mindset. You've decided that's the thing.
Plus, it's only 2 months till Songtember, and then you have to
Then you
anyway.
have
So
to,
we
I
all have to
know.
in September because that's the way it works.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we're going to wrap this up, and I think we're good. I think hopefully you got something. I think most people know this kind of stuff, but hey, it's always good to have someone. I think it's always good to remind each other. Remind myself. That's why I do this stuff too. To remember, it's not all that bad. It's just music. Just enjoy it, have fun, and don't get bogged down by the yappity because it goes on so much and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can take away anything from us ranting for 2 hours, it should be that you're never actually alone. Like, you're never actually the only one facing the problem. No matter how unique you think the problem is, there's always someone else out there. And take comfort in the fact that there'll always be other people around that will, if not understand what you're going through, at least be able to appreciate and sympathise or empathise with what you're going through. So, and then just do it anyway, and then just push through, because we've learned in recent times that the rules are made to be broken and the barriers are made to be knocked down.
Absolutely. What's coming up on your channel, Pete?
Well, we've got an interesting weekend because I got a bunch of work being done on my house on Monday, Tuesday. So I've pre-recorded GarageBand Weekly. It's actually going to be a really fun one. I'm doing the A to Z of GarageBand. So that's going to be 26 little tidbits, so all recorded, all in one take, and 26 things about GarageBand. And look, it tested me because I hadn't been using it for a while. So I was going, compressor, how do I use this again? That was a lot of fun. So that'll be premiering at the usual slot after you on Monday evening for most people. And Your Music Live, get your songs in now because that's going to be recorded a day early, and then that'll be a premiere YML. So it'll still be the same time, still be live, but I won't actually be there live because they're turning my power off at some stage. And knowing how things work, it'll be right in the middle of when I would be live streaming. So I've decided I'll pre-record to work around that this week. So plus we've got the happy hour. So after you do either Faith No More or Pearl Jam, I know what I'm voting for.
Looking Pearl Jam.
I'll be doing REM. So similar sort of era and related musicians. Eddie Vedder and Michael Stipe, two of my favourite humans. So
it's great how that worked out. I was like, when I saw you doing that, I'm like, yeah, man, awesome.
So we'll all be losing our religion.
The
together,
90s.
so. 90s for the win. Yes, they do say that the music that you grew up with in your teens and your 20s is what you kind of love forever. And for me, it's definitely the 90s for sure. So, so it's going to be a big weekend. A little bit different, but you won't feel a thing. You won't feel anything different if you're a viewer. It'll just be that I won't be there personally live, which means that you won't be able to go, I hope his camera falls down now, because it won't, because it didn't.
Who's wishing that?
I don't know. It happened the other day, and
Yeah,
it was kind of fun.
It's good. I love
That's all we say.
when shit goes wrong, it's awesome, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing. Live is always entertaining. Whether it's a well-oiled machine or a train wreck, it's always fun to watch because you never quite know what's going to happen. You don't know whether Pete will say something inappropriate about watching prom.
Do you still get mad when things go wrong? I know, like I used to really go, oh fuck this, and I know Thomas does. I have a feeling Thomas gets a bit yelly when things go wrong. I do too. Not as bad now.
Yeah, look, I used to have a temper on me, and now I don't know. I think I've become a bit more zen in my older age, where I just, not that my expectations are lower, but I just assume that something's going to happen, and then when it does, I'm like, oh well, what can we do to work through this time? What can we do about it to avoid it next time if possible? So it's a little bit more like, a bit more of a zen approach to it. But yeah, still, from my video game playing days, I broke plenty of PlayStation controllers in my time, so I used to get angry about the little things, and now I try to not sweat the petty stuff or pet the sweaty stuff. There's advice for life.
Man. Yeah. I'll close by saying, you're not alone, folks. I've told that story before before I came out trans, and when the internet first started, I got my first internet connection on my old Pentium, and I connected for the first time. The first website I found was a place called you'renotalone.com. And that was a trans site, and I was like, you know what? Wow, holy shit, there's lots of other people. And that sticks for anything. You're not alone. If you're feeling it, someone else is. Reach out. We have great communities here. We're very lucky to have these communities. Wouldn't change it for anything else. I feel sad for so many bitter communities where everyone's fighting all the time. It's weird. So there's that.
Yep, no, it's so true. And for all the negatives that social media has brought to the world, and there've been plenty, it has at least been able to expand our horizons, and it means that you can actually connect with people. And I'm very thankful that my kids, regardless of what they're going through, they might not feel comfortable talking to me. I hope that they do, and I hope that they feel okay to open up. But there's a lot of places that kids can go, and kids that live in families and situations, and not only kids, but, you know, adults. Yeah, you might be in a situation that you think is completely impossible and completely wrong, and you're feeling wrong and you don't know how you're feeling, and then you pump those into a search engine and you find a group of people that are feeling exactly the same way or dealing with the exact same thing. So yeah, there's people out there, and the fact that we now, doesn't matter where your bum is, doesn't matter where you're sitting, what part of the world or what part of the country you're in, you can have these communities where we communicate all around the world.
Perfect. Thank you, Pete, for joining us. And do what his name is Roy Perez says, chocolate helps.
Sure does. Chocolate and coffee.
Yes.
Having that chat today. Coffee in the morning, chocolate for a pick-me-up, caffeine for the win. Unless you don't like caffeine. In which case,
so I got shows this weekend. I got a demo tomorrow, and then so there's no creative hour this week. It is the opening hour, and I'm playing some songs. Then we'll be back to the creative hour. We're going to be doing more shows on the creative hour when I finish someone else's song kind of thing. I like doing that kind of stuff too, and then we'll keep mixing it up. Anyway, today we're going to close out with a song, a premiere. So last year I was working on I was doing live streams and working on this album, which I originally recorded back in 1995. It was the first demo I ever wrote as an acoustic artist, and I used a Tascam 4-track. And I recently found all those songs and was like, man, I should remake them. And I started doing it on the channel. And then I moved house and that kind of thing. But I've been working on this album and it's nearly finished. So I'm going to close today's show with one of the tracks that I finished yesterday. And there's nothing sexy to look at, just this. I know it's terrible.
That's audio share. That is sexy.
Yeah. It's terrible. You'll have to deal with it. So thank you all for being here. If you're watching on replay, thank you. Do subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff on the way out. Hit the like. It does help and all that. I hope you enjoyed the show, folks. Thank you, Pete, for coming on as always.
My pleasure as always. It's my Friday morning about once a month or two tradition.
About a month and a half now, I think.
Yeah.
All right, let's play this song. This is called Beautiful Girl. It was written in 1995, remade now in Logic. And I hope you enjoy it. We'll do the things that make happy, mistakes make you better. All right, things that stay awake. Let's do it. Boom.